SSMS 21 is here. If you want to see it in action, learn all about it this week on Data Exposed. Hi, I'm Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this episode of Data Exposed. Today, I'm joined by Erin Stellato, the lead PM for SSMS. Erin, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, as always.
As always, it's a pleasure. Today, it's a true pleasure because we're going to be talking about SSMS 21, which, if you haven't heard by now, is now out for you to check out in preview at the time of your watching this, I'm sure. There's a lot of exciting things in it. And so I asked Erin if she would just come and kind of walk us through. We don't want to do any slides. We're just going to walk through what's new and learn as we go. How does that sound, Erin?
Sounds good. I love demos, so we'll do my best to keep it short and sweet. So as Anna said, this is a preview. We'll have several previews, but this starts with the Visual Studio installer. So SSMS 21 is a huge jump for those of you that have been using SSMS for a while. And part of that is bringing this to you through this Visual Studio installer. SSMS 21 is a Visual Studio 2022 based solution, which means we've jumped forward and we get a ton of great things, starting with the installer. So when you have it installed, as I do here, what you'll see is that you have an entry for Management Studio down here. And then I also happen to have Visual Studio installed, but I want to be really clear that that's not a requirement. You don't have to have Visual Studio installed. When you install SSMS 21, it doesn't install Visual Studio for you. There's no license required. SSMS is still free. So
that's great. That gives a lot of people a lot of assurance. Not like, do I need Visual Studio? No, you don't. They're good.
Exactly.
Cool.
The other benefit that I want to point out while we're here is, and this is available right now, you'll see this for the Visual Studio, but it's also going to be available with SSMS, is that when there's updates, you'll get notified of that. You'll get notified within the application. You'll also get notified here if you happen to pop open the installer. And then you can just go and install that update directly from here. And once that's complete, you're updated. You don't have to go out, download a file. It all happens through the installer.
Awesome. That's great. What else should we know? What's your most exciting thing?
That's controversial, right? So some people are very excited about the fact that it's 64-bit. So that's huge for folks, right? The other thing that a lot of folks are excited about is dark mode. So if I open up SSMS 20, this is 20.2. This is the bright that some people go like this with, right? That folks are used to. And if I bring up SSMS 21, you can see that this now supports dark mode. Ooh, pretty, right?
This is just, Erin, for folks who might not be familiar, this is just like, how many times have people asked you for this?
Thousands. Every time I present on SSMS, this gets asked about. Dark mode does. And I like to make sure that people are clear that this is the beginning of dark mode. So as an example, if you go into, this is a perfect one, right? Tools options, that's still going to be bright. And funny enough, that's actually also still bright in Visual Studio. So this hasn't been propagated across every dialogue because there's a lot of dialogues in SSMS and we have to go and make this change to all of them. So we started with Object Explorer, Query Editor. You can see this on the right with our vertical tabs. It's also in Template Explorer. It's also in Registered Servers. And then we'll be rolling that out across all of those dialogues over time based on priority determined by the community.
Awesome. This is great. If I'm just getting started here, what else would be good to know?
Well, there have been folks who've asked for Git for a long time, for Git integration to come back. And so that exists. Now, that may not be for somebody who's new. That may not be for somebody who's a veteran either. I can tell you that if I come in here to manage branches, that I have a whole Git thing set up. but I don't really know what I'm doing. But some of you do. And so you'll be very happy about this. That's great. The other thing that I would really encourage folks to explore is you can see I've got the vertical tabs over here. And this little icon, settings, gives me the ability to change it up a bit. So I can have tabs on the left, on the right. I can go back to the top. I can color the tabs. I can change how I sort them, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all kinds of like fun new options available within the editor that we pick up by becoming based on Visual Studio 2022.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yep.
What else? I know there's other things here.
There's changes to Azure integration, which are in flight. So some of those have made their way to dialogue. Some of them are coming in the next preview. And so folks are aware. There is also, if you notice up here in the top right, I'm going to open this up here and go to my account settings. So we also now have account set up just like Visual Studio does, but it is not required. So that's been a question that's been asked a lot. Do I have to sign in? You don't. You don't. You can, but you don't have to. Just full disclosure. So the Azure integration, coming back to that really quick, that is something that we're working on that's in flight. We've added the ability to create logins and users for Azure SQL Database through the UI. So let me show this real quick. So if I go new login in 20 and below, this would just generate T-SQL, but now we have the actual dialogue to create the login, et cetera. As you can see, this hasn't made its way all the way to dark theme yet, but you don't have to do the T-SQL anymore.
Awesome. This is great to see. Do you think should folks expect more kind of Azure integrations in SSMS going forward?
We would definitely like to strengthen that Azure experience within SSMS and bring it more on par with what folks have had forever with SQL Server. So that will come over time. When you say integration, by the way, that makes me think of extensions. And we will move towards full extension support with SSMS 21. It's going to take a little bit, and full extension support doesn't just mean you can create extensions, but eventually you'll be able to also install them with the Visix installer. And you'll see that we have this extensions menu up here. This doesn't really do anything right now, but long term, you'll be able to find extensions from right within SSMS.
Amazing. That's awesome. Yep. The last thing that I've been hearing words about is a Copilot in SSMS.
Yeah. I thought that was
where is that? What is that?
So right now, Copilot in SSMS is in private preview, and you don't see it here because it's in private preview, and we're working with customers who have an NDA to go through and start to get their feedback about what we need to make sure it can do before we make it available in public preview. The question that I get asked a lot before you ask is Copilot going to be baked into SSMS 21? And it is not. It will be an extension towards that extensibility model. So it is an opt-in. So for folks that don't want it, can't install SSMS if it has it, not to worry, you'll be fine.
Awesome. That's super helpful and very exciting. I've gotten to see it. It's very cool. So I'm excited when we'll get to bring you back when we're public with this.
Yeah.
My very last question, hopefully maybe, is just a question okay, I'm going to go download this thing. Is it going to work with every SQL that I have in my organization, or does it only work with certain SQL flavors?
So SSMS has always been backwards compatible. So starting with SQL Server 2022, all the way back to the version of SQL Server that's currently in support. So I think that's 2014, although I think 2012 is somewhere, right, has some support. So it will work for that. It will also work for Azure SQL Database, for Azure SQL Managed Instance. The same experience that you've had with Synapse before, yes. And in terms of Fabric, since I know that you're heavily involved with Fabric, that experience isn't where we know that we want it to be and where I know users want it to be. And so that's something that we will work on improving. I don't have a timeline, but we know that that's a gap, and we'll work to address that.
Awesome. Cool. Let's do this. Any final tips, tricks, or asks for our users in SSMS 21?
That's a really good question. I don't know that I have any tips and tricks yet because there's still some exploring that I need to do, like particularly with Git. And there's a whole bunch of stuff with Copilot when we're there. My request is just to continue to use the ideas, the feedback site, right? I feel like I've said this over and over, but the comments and the votes in particular on ideas specific to SSMS are our currency. If you look at the highly requested items and the number that we've addressed, we're starting to work through that list. I can't promise that we'll do all of them, but that's how I know what's important to the community as a whole.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Erin, for coming on the show. I learned a lot. We've been talking about internally and now externally that this is the biggest release of SSMS in over 10 years. And I really think that that's true. So thanks to you and the team. And if you are watching this episode, go ahead, give it a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. I'm going to put a bunch of links in the description so you can go download SSMS 21. You can give us your feedback and see all sorts of other things you might be interested in, like the roadmap. With that, we hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.